Okay, good morning, class. Today we have your Q&A tests only. And so you have on your 160 proper names. You have Paul Gerald de Leon, Dufresne, Phoenix, Maryvale, Callback, West Indian School Road, Apartment, Maricopa County, Arizona, Tony, Sanyo, VCR, and Reebok. And this will be your test number 160, and it does start in the middle for 5 minutes. Oh. Sorry, cat, bear with me. 160 for 5 minutes starts in the middle, you all. Officer, I am placing a copy of your department report face down in front of you. Please feel free to use that document at any time to refresh your memory should you need to do that. But please indicate verbally that you are looking at your report, okay?
Okay.
Would you state your name and spell your last name for the court reporter?
Paul Gerald de Leon Dufresne, Dufresne.
How are you employed, sir?
Phoenix police officer, badge number 5364.
How long have you been in law enforcement?
7 years.
And what is your current assignment?
I work patrol in the Maryvale precinct area.
How long have you been on patrol?
7 years.
What are the general duties of a patrol officer?
Patrol officers, they take the initial phone calls that are dispatched from 911 of any type of crime. Basically, that's in action or had occurred, such as burglaries. We take reports if they had already occurred and there are no suspects. We just take the reports, collect evidence while we are there, do any impounding we need to do, those types of things. We do that for the theft calls, stolen vehicles, then we get into sexual assaults, homicide. We basically respond to all that along with doing traffic duties, traffic accidents, writing citations, and that about sums it up.
Okay, I'd like to take you back to July 7, 2004 at about 3:30 in the afternoon. How did you first become involved in this case?
I was dispatched by a callback officer who is a police officer that was taking reports over the phone of past incidents that had occurred. So basically, they were paper calls, and in this case, it was a burglary. I was dispatched by the officer that took the original report to go to the scene and collect evidence and dust for fingerprints.
What location were you directed to?
5454 West Indian School Road, apartment 1048.
And is that location within the city of Phoenix, Maricopa County, Arizona?
Yes, it is.
What did you find when you arrived at that location?
As I was walking up to the front door of that apartment, the gentleman that you just saw, Tony, exited the front of that apartment and he contacted me.
And what did he say to you when he contacted you?
He stated that he was burglarized earlier that day, and that he had just finished a report over the telephone with a police officer. He handed me an envelope. It was basically a piece of paper, and it was a beat up envelope that had a serial number listed on it, along with a Sanyo television with a model number written on it. He stated that was his television. That was one of the items stolen at the time of the burglary. He also stated he was also missing a VCR, but he didn't have any further information on the VCR. He stated that he believes he knows the suspect that he had met the day prior on the city bus. He stated he met this white male subject about 33 years ago, 170 pounds, 5'7", brown hair. He stated he met him on the bus. They struck up a conversation because they both lived in the same apartment complex.
What else did he tell you at that time?
He stated that the subject that he had met on the bus, he learned that he was getting evicted out of the apartment complex. He also told me that the subject on the bus that he had met was wearing black Reebok tennis shoes, and he stated that he had spoken with the manager of the apartment complex and stated that,
By he, you mean Tony had talked to the manager.
yes, Tony had talked to the apartment manager, and when he spoke to her, he described the subject to her, his physical description, and also stated that he was being evicted and that he was a hair cutter. He did that for his line of work. He cuts hair for a living. With those two facts, the manager told Tony,
Excuse me, officer, what you are relating to the jury is what Tony told you, correct?
yes. Tony told me that she informed him that she possibly knew this subject that he was talking about because she recognized him to be the subject that was being evicted, and the subject being evicted cut hair for a living.
At that point in time, was Tony able to give you the name of the subject?
Tony did not at.
Okay, and then we have your second 160 Q&A. Proper names: Mr. Tidlow, Tom Stillman, First Avenue, Kenner, Louisiana; Grace King, Social Security; UNO, GIA, Gemology Institute of America, Santa Monica, California; University of New Orleans. Okay, this is 160 number 2, and it starts at the very beginning, 5 minutes. Mr. Tidlow, my name is Tom Stillman. I'm here to ask a few questions about an accident that you had back in May of 1994. The purpose of my questions is not to confuse you or mislead you or anything of that nature. I'm just here to get information about the accident. If I ask a question that you don't understand, tell me, and I'll do something to clarify the question for you. Okay?
Okay.
Let me start with a few personal facts. You're presently living where?
1412 First Avenue in Kenner, Louisiana, 70003.
Are you married?
Single?
Ever been married?
No.
Tell me a little about your education. Where did you go to high school?
At Grace King. I finished at King.
What year did you finish?
88.
What is your social security?
College at UNO and GIA College.
Did you get a degree?
No, I did not finish college. I went to the Gemology Institute of America, where I'm presently attending GIA. It's a correspondence course in jewelry out of Santa Monica, California.
You're in that course of study right now?
Yes, sir.
How far did you go in college? How many hours did you have?
I think 1 year.
What did you study?
Business administration, accounting, and marketing.
Your date of birth?
10/2/69.
When you finished high school, did you go to work any place?
I worked for a while in my own business after high school, and then I became a student.
You started your own business? What type of business was that?
It was a jewelry business.
You experimented with that for a while, then you went to University of New Orleans?
Correct.
Have you been employed in any fashion since starting UNO?
Since starting UNO? No.
Now, you attended a UNO for a while, and you took some college courses, and now you're in this gemology. Is that the way you pronounce that?
Correct.
You're studying that. You've not been employed in any form since you started college.
No.
Tell me, have you been involved in any accidents other than the one that happened on May 25 of 1994?
Yes, I have.
How many?
One that I recall offhand.
What was the date of that accident, or the approximate date?
I don't recall.
Was it before or after the one in 1994?
I don't recall.
Let's see. You've been licensed to drive for how many years?
11 years.
The accident back in 94 happened about 2 years ago. You don't recall if your other accident was before or after?
I don't recall.
Was it near in time?
I don't recall.
Where did this other accident happen?
In New Orleans?
Where is New Orleans?
I don't know offhand. I'd have to see a copy of the report.
There was a police report on it?
No, there wasn't a police report on it, no. Someone hit me and they had compensated me for damages, and that was it. It was a minor accident. I think it was $175 worth of damages.
What happened in the accident? Did they run into the side of your car or the back of your automobile?
An old fellow had backed into me. The parking attendant told him to proceed through the gate, and he put his car in reverse and just backed into me.
What did you do? Just settle up with him personally? Or did you settle up with his insurance company? Or how did you do that?
The insurance company sent me a check for $175, I believe. They asked for an estimate on the damages, and they sent me a check for $175.
So you sent them an estimate and they sent you a check?
I think they took an estimate themselves. That's what happened.
They did the estimate.
Yes, I believe they did.
You don't remember about when that accident happened? It doesn't make any difference whether it was before or after. We just want to know when.
I'm trying to remember.
Was it before you got a license to drive? Just tell us.
No, it wasn't before I got a license to drive. I would estimate it was within the last 3 years.
Do you recall what kind of car you were driving in this accident where this man backed into you?
I don't really recall. I think it was a rental car. That's why I don't remember.
Any other accidents? You had one you just told us about. You're not certain about the date. You had this. Okay. And we'll get ready for your 140s. Your 140 number 1, you have Jedner, and that's it. Jedner, and it starts in the middle, you all. 140 Q&A number 1 for 5 minutes. Let's talk about the fence line for a moment. Was that the original line, or did you alter the line at some point?
I moved the fence line closer to the right of way at that time.
What made you decide to move the fence line?
I was using the land for pasture, and I needed more room for my horses.
Was that a wooden fence or a metal fence?
At the place we are speaking of, the fence is wooden.
At some point, does it become wire or metal?
Yes, eventually it is wire fencing between wood posts.
The reason your property is fenced is for the safety of your horses and cattle. Is that right?
Yes, if we didn't have it fenced, they would be out on the highway.
Do you know if the previous owner of the property kept animals?
As far as I know, he did have some horses, but I don't know how many. I really don't know much about the former owner.
Now, as I recall, you have an interest in the easement. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
You are allowed to use the easement to go back and forth, as well as your neighbors are allowed to use the easement to enter and exit their property. Is that right?
That's the way it reads on the deed.
Are you a joint owner with all of the people who own those parcels of land?
No, I don't believe I'm a joint owner.
What portions of the land do you pay taxes on?
I pay the taxes on the portion of land on my side of the 28 feet. I have no interest in their half.
But they also have the right to use that portion of the property?
Yes, they do.
Do all the property owners with an interest in this have the right to enter and exit from there?
Yes, they do.
So is it your understanding that your interest is with the other property owners?
I can't answer a question I don't understand.
Let me rephrase that. Is it your understanding that you have access to that portion of the Jedner property as you wish?
Yes.
And that would include the rest of the easement that at times you are able to access it just as the other property owners in the area are?
Yes, I can use it to enter and exit.
To your knowledge, you are using it in the same manner that the other property owners are. Is that right?
Yes, I believe I use it in the same manner as everyone else.
And that is the purpose of the easement. Is that right?
Yes, to my understanding, it is.
Have you brought any documents with you today?
Yes, I did.
I have here a copy of the deed which you have just been so kind as to allow me to copy. And I'd like you to tell me, at the time you bought the property and this deed was given to you, what was your understanding as to the use of the easement?
My understanding was and is that the easement was there for the purpose of accessing the land as needed.
Now, by that, do you then mean yourself and the other owners who were involved at the time?
Yes, that's right.
I believe you stated earlier that at that time, someone did own the Jedner property. Is that right?
That's what it states in this copy of my deed.
The deed shows that the right of way was different at the time you purchased the property. Is that right?
No, I don't believe so.
So at the time this deed was granted to you, there was a 56-foot easement.
Yes,
Have you had an opportunity to read this deed?
I've looked it over many times.
Do you feel that you are fairly familiar with it?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell me what you believe this line means?
It's just part of the deed that mentions use of the land.
Do you see on this document the number of animals that can be put on the land?
Yes,
Can you tell me how many? And then we have your second 140 Q&A, proper names, Buick, Dr. Smith, and Jones. This will be 140 Q&A number 2, and it starts in the middle, you all, for 5 minutes. Did you apply your brakes?
not that I recall.
As far as you recall, you just let up on the gas,
Just let up on the gas.
and you didn't see the car behind you until the accident occurred.
Not until after the accident.
So you didn't know what its speed was or anything like that.
No, no.
It was a clear day.
Beautiful.
Roads were dry.
Yes.
Was there any gravel there or anything?
No.
Did you hear any skidding sounds?
Didn't hear nothing, and we didn't see no skid marks when the police came either.
Did you talk to the driver of the other vehicle, the one that struck you?
Yes.
What did he say?
He says, I applied the brakes and too fast, which wasn't true because I didn't do it. No sign of it on the road.
I just asked you what he said.
Oh, well, all right. He said that.
He didn't say that. He just said he applied his brakes.
Okay. What he said, that's what he said.
Did he say anything else?
Not that I recall.
Did you say anything to him?
I just asked him to stay right there until I got the police.
Did anyone in his car appear to be injured?
At the time, no.
Was there anyone in your car with you?
No.
Did you have any apparent injuries at that time?
No.
What kind of damage was done to your car?
$980 in the rear end of the car.
Has that been repaired?
Oh, yes.
Has that been paid for
Yes.
by your insurance company?
Yes.
What kind of damage was it? What did the car look like after it was hit?
Well, mainly bumper, trunk lid, and the whole back end of the car.
Were the taillights broken?
I don't recall.
Any damage to the frame?
No.
Were you able to drive your car from the scene?
Yes.
Did the other car drive from the scene?
That I don't know, but he shouldn't have because he lost his water out of his radiator.
Did you drive your car around for a while before it was repaired?
Yes.
Are you still driving that car?
No.
What kind of car was that?
77 Buick.
Did you own it by yourself or with your wife?
Myself.
The car was in your name alone?
Yes.
Do you remember how many miles it had on it at the time of the accident?
No.
Approximately?
80,000.
And have you since traded that in on another car?
No, I got rid of that one, bought another one.
How much did you sell it for?
$800, I believe.
This was after it was repaired?
What?
This was after it was repaired.
Yes.
Hardly paid to have it repaired, did it?
Well, at the time it did, because I would have kept it, and the only reason I got this other car is because my son had it, and it was a car I wanted, and I was buying it at a reasonable price, is the only reason I got rid of it.
When did you sell it?
What?
When did you sell it?
A year ago, last January, I believe.
So you sold it 8 months after the accident?
Whatever it figures.
Did you come in contact with anything inside your car at the time of the accident?
I don't recall.
How did you feel after the accident?
Felt all right.
Did you drive home?
Yes.
When did you start feeling not all right?
The next morning when I woke up. I woke up with a bad headache.
What part of your head bothered you?
The whole head bothered.
Did your eyes bother you?
Yes. If the headache gets bad, they do.
I meant that first headache.
Well, that I don't recall.
Just don't remember?
Yeah, I guess.
When did you first see a doctor after the accident?
The day after the accident. The same morning as I got up with the headache.
Who did you see?
You would ask names.
What's his name?
Oh, Dr. Smith and Jones. You know it.
Is he a family? Okay, you all, that concludes your tests for today. They were very good, at least that last one was. Good luck. Have a great day, you all.